about when. They ask me to bear the inner workings of my mind so that they may glimpse the generator, the creator, some kind of all-satisfying answer to the demands and prying eyes that come with age. Yet what they should not be asking is why I say what I do, how I come up with these notions, where this supposed wisdom is born. Those are easy. Number one, because there is so much idiocy in this world that frustration has become the motivation to speak. Number two, because someone or something else's words have inspired ones of my own. I am no original, but the culmination of trial, error, and observation. Number three, because I am just another marionette turned martyr and remain as one of the few that have learned to tug on my strings. Yet no one has questioned the when. If they think for 1 second of any day that I have no filter, that I have not carefully calculated, whittled, and re-sculpted my words, constantly gambling on every bat of an eyelash, fluctuation in frequency of tone, strike on the scoreboard that is their impression of me, then they are even more moronic than I had thought. I used to be the girl whose only mar in a perfect record was due to the fact that I had been bursting to contribute my opinion. From gun control to the structure of the word purple, and then one day, I stayed long enough to gauge their opinions of me, those subtle eye rolls only apparent to everyone in the room except for myself, those imperceptible exhalations of "that's just Sophia." Now, in a new time, new place, as a person whose definitions of the world have been through the laundry machine of time, I still don't reveal what the answer is in soap-intercept form, and wouldn't dare unfurl my opinions on the 6 o'clock news. I guess that's why they see me in the light that they do, as I have been in charge of every utterance of thought that has ever touched down on a page. Maybe now they realize that opening up means nothing when those answers have always been there, and there are still less complicated questions to ask. Because I am only just Sophia. I'm just going to start off by saying this is my very first video in my series of 30 videos in April for National Poetry Writing Month or Camp NaNoWriMo, depending on which one you are participating in, celebrating, or following, or if you've just stumbled across this video wondering who the heck I am. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that it may be the 25th of February now, but I guarantee you by the 5th video I filmed for this series, it will be like March 28th, and I'm like trying desperately to film everything for this series. But the point is, I'm starting off strong, and I wanted to do some sort of poem to kick off this series that was kind of old, and albeit not the best thing I've ever written, but definitely something to establish. And I figured I would do this particular poem because it is a lot about me. Okay, actually, that's a lie. It's entirely about me and who I am and just what I'm like on a day-to-day basis. It sounds now to me kind of really angsty, but might as well just start off by saying, this is who I was, this is who I am now, this is who I'm going to be, just hang on for the ride. Excuse my, I'm going to call it, a very passionate approach to this poem and my reading of it, just because I wrote this, I think, around April of 2015, which I know was last year. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but I am very surprised as well as proud of myself as how much I've progressed and just developed as a poet, and this is some of my very first work as an actual declaration calling myself a poet. For every single poem that is in this series of videos, I am going to have a blog post accompanying it with both the poem and any backstory or information that I do not cover in the video. For this specific poem, this was actually written for the sake of a poetry portfolio I did last year. Out of the 10 poems we had to submit for the portfolio, one of those poems had to have a 2-page explanation of how it was created, what I was thinking about when I wrote it, and everything like that. So if you want to check out more of my in-depth thoughts and details surrounding its inception and just why I wrote it and why I said the things I did, you can check out the post. But if you want the really long story short, I'm just going to say that since 2nd grade I have dealt with this pretty much crippling fear in terms of having the willingness to participate in class, because I've always been as that weird Hermione-like girl who's smart and knows she is, but usually raises her hand and whether it's a literary discussion or a math problem gives some sort of complicated answer that a few people don't even understand because of the vocabulary I used, and the rest of the people are just like, okay Sophia, that's nice, moving on to the more classically structured answers. And I've had to deal with the balance between being who I am and being accepted by my classmates and peers and just people in my life in general. I'm a really open person. If I respect you and I think you are, I don't know if the word would be worthy of my opinion and my words, I will just go on and on and on for ages about things. But a lot of the times, you have to just read into the situation, and I'm not really exactly telling you what matters. You can ask all you want about the things that I am sharing and why I'm telling you all this random information, because a lot of times it is completely random. But what you really have to think about in the case of me just being me, and if you really want to know who I am, is when I say what I do and what I choose not to say. One of the people who has been very instrumental in my development as a poet actually said to me, it's more sometimes about the white spaces than the black. And that's just about the things that weren't said and just never really will be because of just shame or societal pressures or constructs or just who you are in general as a poet and as a person. And this was kind of me not giving away necessarily what it is that I don't like to say or share, but it's telling you that I actually do. It's more of an admittance than anything else. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe if I manage to write a sort of response that will actually be almost exactly a year later to it, I kind of want to do an Ask About When Part 2, and I think it could be very beneficial to me as well as interesting. So this is me just saying on the first day of this video series, if I manage to write that poem, it will most definitely be the last one. I think it'd be a very perfect denouement, so to say, to close up this series, and I'm having so much fun with. Of course, it's video 1, not video 30. A lot of things will happen in that month, I'm pretty certain, but if I am actually a smart person, I will have a lot of these pre-filmed. If not, I'm so screwed. Anyways, tell me in the comments below if you are participating in Camp NaNoWriMo National Poetry Writing Month, or if you're just a writer in general and what you like to write, what do you find inspiration from, and all of that jazz. And if you aren't actually writing anything at the moment, then tell me what you're currently reading, because reading has, I don't want to say equivalent in terms of effort, but it does have just as much to do in terms of influence on who you are and what you do actually end up saying.